Welcome back to another persuasion video, guys. The last video I did about methods to get people to say yes to things did really well. You guys really appreciated it. Had some great things to say. So I decided to follow up on that with another video. And this one focuses a lot more on the way we speak. And in the way we speak, we can convince people of pretty much anything, or at least really increase our odds. And in this video, I'm gonna give you 3 really effective ways to slightly shift the words you use and the way you speak to really get inside people's heads and get them to say yes for pretty much anything. You can use this at work, you can use it in your personal life, if you're in sales, and I know a lot of people following this are performers, magicians. If you're trying to sell a show or get booked, you can use this in every aspect of your life and you guys are going to love it. So let's jump right into it. I want to start by telling you guys about one of my favorite studies, and I want you to think about whether you think this would affect your mind or not. So the study was conducted in 1974 by researchers Loftus and Palmer. And basically what they did is they showed footage of a car accident to a whole bunch of people. And after the footage played, they asked the people a couple of questions about what they just saw. And one of the questions that they asked was about how fast the car was going when it had the accident. Now here's where it gets tricky. For every group of people, they used a different word to describe the accident. So for some people, they said, how fast was the car going when it smashed into the other car? For other people, they said, hit, bumped, collided, contacted, all these different words, because they wanted to see, does that one word that we use to describe the video that they just saw change their perspective? Before I tell you the results of the study, let me ask you, what do you think? Do you think that words have the power to change our perception of something that we literally just saw? Are words that powerful? Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that words can really affect our perception of things? Well, the study showed that they 100% can. Of all the different words that were used to describe the accident, the one that got the highest estimate of the speed was the word smashed. People who were asked how fast was the car going when it smashed into the other car estimated 40.8 miles per hour. On the other hand, people who were asked how fast was the car going when it contacted the other car estimated 31.8 miles per hour. That's 9 miles per hour less. All the other words were somewhere in between, and it kind of makes sense. If you look at the intensity of the word, the estimate makes perfect sense, which proves that the words that were being used to ask the question built a different image and a different memory in the people's minds. But why are we talking about car accidents, and what does this have to do with convincing people to say yes when we ask them for something? Well, the study showed that the words we use can impact the imagery that we create in someone's head, not only about memories from the past, but also about future events. So my first tip for today is this: use descriptive language. Don't use ambiguous terms, be very specific and use positive adjectives. So let's say you want to invite someone to an event, like a party or a fundraiser or something like that. And this could be a social situation, or it could be a business interaction. Whatever the case, instead of saying something like, oh, it's going to be really nice and the food there is really good, try saying something like, you are going to have the time of your life and the food there is always delicious. Or let's say that you sell a service. Like me, I'm a performer and we have to sell our show. So instead of saying something like, oh, it's going to be great, you're going to have a lot of fun, which is very general and doesn't build a real positive image, try saying something along the lines of, your guests are going to be absolutely mind blown and they're going to thank you for the amazing evening. Notice how using the descriptive words creates such a more powerful image in the mind and a more desirable state. So they're a lot more likely to go for something like that than when you use words that sort of describe a general situation without really getting their emotions involved. All right, now we're going to move on to tip number 2, which works really well with tip number 1. It sort of like makes it even stronger. But before we do that, guys, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on for more amazing psychology and mentalism. The second tip is something that in psychology we call echoing, and it's really powerful, and it's a 2-step process. Here's how it works. Remember how I said in the first tip that if you want someone to really see your vision, you can use descriptive language? Well, it's even more powerful if you use words that you know for a fact resonate with that person, mean a lot to that person. How do you know the words that mean a lot to that person? Well, you simply ask them. So let's say I want to invite someone to a restaurant, whether it's for a date or for a sales pitch, whatever the case is. If I want them to really want to do that, all I have to do is ask them about a restaurant that they love and tell me the reasons that they love it. Because let's be honest, a lot of different people like a lot of different restaurants for different reasons. Some people love it for the food, some people love it for the great music, some people for the ambiance, they want something classy and calm, some people want a nice party ambiance, so you just listen to them. So you ask them something like, what's your favorite restaurant? And then when they answer, you say, why? What's so great about it? I've never been there. And let's say you notice in their speech that they use the word tasty for the food. The food is really tasty. That's what they say. That's their word. And then they say, and the ambiance is so great because it's so festive. So you just make little notes in your mind. Okay, festive, tasty food. What else? Maybe they say, oh, the wait staff is so pleasant. So now these are words that mean something to them. This is how they describe a positive experience for themselves. So now when it comes time to ask them, you know what works for them. So instead of saying something like, oh, you're gonna love this, it's a very classy restaurant, it's very calm, that doesn't work for them. That doesn't mean anything to them. So now when it comes time to invite them to the restaurant, you could say something like, you know what, I know this restaurant, we should totally go, the food there is really tasty, the waitstaff is so pleasant, and it has such a fun, festive atmosphere, I think you're gonna love it. So notice how you're now speaking their language, and there's two reasons this works. The first reason is literally because of what we've been talking about this entire video. Using those more detailed adjectives create a more vivid image in their mind that makes them want to do that more. It's their own language of a positive experience at a restaurant. The second reason that it works is because science has proven very often that we connect a lot more with people that are like us, that have similar interests, similar likes. So when you use the same types of words that they use and show that you value the same types of things they value, they're going to connect with that more and are a lot more likely to accept. This is a very powerful tool. Here's a fun little psychology question quiz type test quiz. I don't know what the word is, but I want to see if you guys can get this right. What I just said to you about echoing, where you listen to someone and you use similar words and similar language, there's an equivalent to that in body language, where you look at someone and then you do gestures that are similar to them to create a connection. And a lot of psychologists swear by this for creating a connection. Let me know in the comments, do you know the word for that? What is that called? In fact, there are two different words for it, and they both start with the letter M. Let me know if you know what it is. I want to see who amongst you knows their psychology. Let me know in the comments. The third tip we're going to look at is honestly really, really weird. It shouldn't work, but it does because of very early programming of our minds. And it relates to one of my favorite studies in psychology and one of the most popular studies in psychology, known as the Xerox study. And I'm going to tell you guys this because it's really, really interesting. What happened is in a college during exam season, there was a big lineup of people at the photocopier. Now, a lot of you younger subscribers don't really know what the use of a photocopier is because everything's online now, but it's just a machine that makes copies of your papers and your notes. And there was a long lineup at the machine, and they had someone, as part of the research, go to the front of the line, to the first person, and ask if they could cut in. So there was two types of people. There was the people who said, hey, can I cut in front of you? That's it. And the rate of people who said yes to that was very, very low, negligible. Then there were people who said this, can I cut in front of you because I only have one paper to print and I'm really late for class? And that's a really good excuse, right? Like most of us were like, okay, they're late, they have one paper, it's just gonna take a second. So 94% of people said yes to that. That's not the amazing part. The amazing part is this. Now they tried it again with a brand new group of people. And this time the question was, hey, can I cut ahead of you because I need to use the machine? Now think about that. That's a terrible excuse. Everybody in line needs to use the machine. That's not really a good reason to cut in front of someone. What do you think happened to that percentage? If you asked me this and I hadn't seen the study, I would have said it, maybe 20% of people said yes, like because there's some sort of reasoning. Here's the crazy thing. There was a drop of 1%. 93% of people still said yes to that really lame excuse. And the Xerox study and many studies after it showed us the power of one word, the word because. In Persuasion, the word because is known as one of the most powerful words that we have in our vocabulary. Let me tell you why. When we were little, we would go to our parents and we would say, hey mom, can I stay up late? And mom would go, no. And we would say, why? And she would go, because I said so. And we would go, okay, I guess that's an excuse. Then we went to school. We got a little, we went to school and we'd tell our teacher, excuse me, teacher, can we leave school earlier today? And teacher would go, no. And you would say, why? And she would go, because that's just how it is. So with time and early experiences, we came to accept that because in and of itself is a good reason. What follows it doesn't really matter. We have conditioned our minds that because is a good reason in and of itself. Now, I'm not saying you can convince someone by saying something like, hey, do you want to go to the restaurant with me next week because apples are red or green? I'm not saying that. The causality still has to have a little bit of something to do with what you're asking for, but the bottom line is this: you don't have to have a good reason. If you have any reason whatsoever, say the word because and throw that reason in, and you're going to be amazed at how well it works. You're honestly going to be shocked. Now, there is a little warning with this tip. The first two tips I give you work in any situation, whether you want something from someone right now or down the road, or you're planning something. They are a really, really great psychological tool that you can use for the rest of your life in any situation. The because thing works a lot better if you're trying to get someone to do something right now, like the photocopier. If you're planning something or they're gonna have a chance to think about it, it won't be as effective, because when we're trying to plan something, we're a lot more critical. Whereas decisions in the moment, we make a little bit more in that moment. So for example, this is something I've actually used a lot in my personal life. Let's say you're about to go somewhere with a bunch of people and you don't feel like driving, right? Instead of saying, hey, can you drive? And that's it. If you say to one of your friends, hey, can you drive because it's raining? That's it. Or literally anything. Hey, can you drive because I'm not wearing my running shoes? Literally whatever. It barely has to make sense. And I promise you, it works, because their mind is just sort of not really thinking about the details of the argument. They hear the question, they hear the because, and their mind just goes into that, yeah, sure, I can help you out frame, just like they proved in the Xerox study. Now I want to tell you guys about something new that I will be doing on the channel starting now. I've been thinking about this for a while. Let me know in the comments, first of all, what you thought of this video. As always, I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking about the content, but also, if you have a situation in your life, whether it's, again, at work, personal relationship, social situation, whatever it is, any situation where you're stuck with someone. There's someone that either you can't get a read on, or you're trying to convince them of something and you're not sure how, or a specific situation that you're wondering about. And it could be sort of like, generally speaking, like in this situation, you never know what to do. Let me know in the comments. And if you do that, please be aware I might use that comment and show it on screen, because I'm gonna start doing videos where I take comments from you guys and I give tips based on what you guys are asking me for. So whatever it is from your own life, whether it's a specific scenario or a situation that comes up a lot, you have a hard time when it comes to a specific something, sky's the limit. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments, ask me a question, and soon enough, maybe in the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna start doing videos where I help you guys out by directly answering your questions. Let me know what you think of that idea. I think it'll be awesome. Let me know in the comments. Hope you had fun, and I will see you on the next video.